Hi everyone, it's Catherine here from Inky Fingered Cat. Today's video is a bit of a lesson in you win some, you lose some, really. I decided to grab this Fanciful Roses background stamp from My Favourite Things and see what it would look like if I stamped it over my jelly prints. So I took a couple of jelly prints. This one's sort of blue and stripy, and the next ones are slightly different. Then I realised, because I was using a dye-based ink and it's on paint, it's gonna stay wet for a little bit longer. So I thought, oh, I'll try heat embossing it, which had some success and some not so successful. You really need a pigment-based ink or a Versamark in order to do good heat embossing, but it was worth a try. That's pretty much the theme of today's video. It's worth a try. And the other thing to remember is it's only paper. Just chuck it away if it doesn't work, which is, yeah, you can sense that that's where that's going to go at some point. So this one's got a little bit more pinks and blues and painty blobs on it. And I try this one. And then I decide after I've done that one, I'm going to try this instead of a jelly print, which is actually a wipe-off stencil. And then because this is a wipe-off stencil of ink, it is not going to heat emboss because, yeah, it's going to absorb straight into the paper, that one. So yeah, as I say, it's worth trying. At first I was going to stamp it again. I was going to pop it back in and stamp it again, and maybe stamp it with Versamark, but I also hadn't put it directly in the corner, so it wasn't easy. So that one's gone off to one side, might get used again at some point in the future. Now, it was actually a little bit later this day, so I'd stamped that at lunchtime and then went and did work for the afternoon. And then this is in the evening, by which time I've taken off my cardigan because it was chilly in the morning, warm in the afternoon. But yeah, so I decided that I was going to use my Inktense pencils to maybe colour in these images. They might stand out a little bit more. So at first I attempted to actually colour in properly, like using shading and stuff, and then I ended up just scribbling, to be perfectly honest, and just adding some colour down. I'm not a very good watercolorer, and these are not the easiest of images to watercolour, especially if you've got a lot of light shining on it, you've embossed it, and you've not brought your glasses to the craft table. You know when you get that feeling that you perhaps shouldn't be crafting at this point? Yeah, that's pretty much what I got. So this one I added blue to all of the flowers and a bit of green to the bits that were leaves, with my Inktense. Added the water just to spread the colour around a little bit. There's a little bit of definition in a few places, but not much. Doesn't really matter. It just added some colour to the shapes, and that in itself kind of did the job for what it ended up being used as. Of course, at this point, I don't know what I'm going to use them as. I am just playing. And, oh yeah, there was a little bit that I realised I'd missed out, but I didn't want to put my pencil directly into wet, so I just scribbled on a bit of scrap paper to get some colour. Now, this one, I went in with the purple at first, and added that to the flowers that were going down one side. I do keep having to tilt because of the shine of the lights and the fact that these are obviously stamped onto quite a pattern underneath. Then the other side I went in with the pinks to see what that looked like. And basically hot mess is the words that come to mind. It might not look as bad on camera as it did in real life. I promise you it didn't look great. And also it was quite fine paper, a thin paper, and it just wasn't looking good. So at this point, that one went in the bin. To be honest, I didn't even attempt to try and save it, just went in the bin. Now, I decided for this one to keep trying with it, and so I took the darkest of the blues and splattered a bit, and then I also took the shimmer ink and mixed that in with the dark blue and splattered that over the top. And then even though there was heat embossing on this, because it was quite a fine heat emboss, I decided I would go and dry it a little bit with my heat tool rather than just wait for it to dry. I was also being impatient. Yeah, I genuinely think this was probably not a good time to be crafting, but never mind. I'm really happy with what I ended up making at the end. But I just chopped down this panel and I did it blind. I did it upside down because I think sometimes you can overthink. And I decided, right, come on, let's just go with it. This is looking all right now that it's only a small panel. So I stuck it onto some white, and you'll see I used my ATG and some wet glue because I wanted the wet glue to help flatten it really. It was quite a wonky panel. Now, I don't think that the camera is doing this justice, and hopefully on the end photos you'll see. It does look really nice. That background looks great. So I chose to use some purple cardstock, and it was actually a piece of 12 by 12, and I did my measurements wrong and I ended up doing a 5 by 5 card. And I'm really happy with it. Just kept it really simple on the front. I created a panel for the inside, used a scrap of the bit that had been cut off of the inside just so it coordinated, and there's the inside. And now I'm going to do something really simple. I have my little yellow pouch there. It's got all my glitter cardstock bits and pieces in it. And this is one where I've used that Altenew Zero Waste Leaves die. But this glitter cardstock does not die cut very well. It's not even cardstock, is it? It's paper. So it's a bit flimsy and a bit faffy. And all the pieces have actually stayed in it, apart from the bits that I've used. So I thought, oh, I could use that. I grabbed a ready stamped and die cut and stacked up little word sentiment, which is saying hello, and created a little nest of the thread of the bobbin that was left on the desk and just needed using up. And after a little bit of faffing trying to stick this down, I decided it was done. So I hope you can see there in the pictures, it does look really lovely with the stamped embossed images, with a little bit of colour applied to them on that sort of like quite funky stripy background with the jelly print, and I really like it. But do not be worried if it goes not to plan like my other piece did and ends up in the bin. It is only paper, and that is my theory. So I hope you found this little video useful. Please do give me a thumbs up and comment below, and subscribe to see more. Until next time, bye bye.